And welcome, everybody. Another Sunday night, another respect. As we continue going through our child trafficking specials here, this one is going to be a little more on the uplifting and positive side. We've gone through a whole bunch of stuff and gone down rabbit holes, cesspools, discovered how horrific the situation that has been hidden from us for decades, for centuries, really, has been. And now we're coming to a point where more and more people are waking up and understanding what's been going on. And tonight we have a little more of a positive spin on it. Just before we get into that, I know that over the past year, a lot of people have asked, how can I get in contact with Mark? How does Mark have a Telegram channel? I've answered your calls, and effective now, they're not all completely finished, but effective now, I do have a Telegram channel. I do have a Rumble channel. I do have an X and a Truth Social and YouTube. And other than Telegram, they are all Fake News 7 New York. So Fake News 7 NY for all of the sites, except for Telegram, which is just Fake News 7. So if you want to find any of that stuff, it'll all be in the crawl. We've got a link tree and everything else. But I'd be thrilled if you guys came on and, registered on there and give a little thumbs up saying, hey, we're with you. So we can give you the content that you're looking for. And no, mommy and daddy are not getting divorced. We're staying together. So everything is good to go there. But getting back to our topic of the night, we have a panel here tonight of some very, very good people, a couple of them that you know very well, and one who is a lovely couple behind the scenes that have really enabled a lot of what we've been doing recently. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our panel tonight. We've got back with us again, the lovely Cathy O'Brien, and not so lovely Tom Sikes. A pleasant nonetheless. And we have Mary Jane and Greg LaBreque. And welcome all.
Thank you.
Glad to have you all.
Thank you, Mark.
So what we've been dealing with, all of the revelations that we've made over the past couple of months in regard to child trafficking, all the stuff that Cathy's spoken about, and Rachel's spoken about, and Mary Flynn O'Neill and everybody else, all the trouble that we've brought to the public domain. As General Flynn would say, you've got local action and national impact. And we've always spoken about the fact that people need to take action and really pitch in to make things work. And do we have another panelist? And to make things work. And that is what these lovely people are involved in, is taking the action and bringing it to fruition. So let's start with Tom to talk about exactly what the project is, what's going on with it, and how this is going to take us to the next step in helping these saved children.
Okay. Just hearing that comment, that's a big job. And we've heard, and I've met Cathy several times, and her story was heart-wrenching. And when I started doing my own research 5 years ago, the most unbelievable number that I heard was that there were 800,000 children going missing in this country. And my first response to that, well, that's just misinformation. That's just plain BS, because there isn't any way 800,000 children could go missing and somebody not report it in the news. Oh, sorry.
No need to apologize.
And then when I started recognizing various CNN leaders and so forth, and these country people being picked up for pedophile and so forth. And then it started, oh my goodness, this is something real. So as we started going, and we created a General Drill Assembly here in Sarasota 2 years ago. And the last 2 years, we've been training our people on what the Constitution is. And we've been doing some initial investigation into our county. And boy, we found a lot. We found some people in our county that really have made a pledge to constitutions, and they're not fulfilling that. And so as the point of child trafficking becomes more and more known, it just became to the point of, okay, we're talking about it. What are we going to do about it? So let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's saddle up, whatever kind of acronym you want to use for it. But then I met this couple, MJ and Greg, and these people were a force in themselves, and they knew Cathy, and they were promoting Cathy, and they were, bringing in Barbara and all of these other people and professionals. And they said, okay, we agree, let's do something. So out of the blue, now we're talking about intention and we're talking about spiritual movement here. But out of the blue, 3 weeks ago, I had a call from a gentleman, and he asked me to come to his office. And he said, I hear some things about what you're doing. And he said, I'd like to know. And so I said, well, we would like to put up a children's recovery center here in Sarasota and remove the questionable CPS, child protection services, foster care, and adoption, and remove all of that because it's all being handled by various state agencies in our county. And if we are going to restore our republic, our constitutional republic, which means each county, all 3,400 counties in this great nation, need to stand up and take care and become self-government through general drill assemblies and common law. Our country is going back to the republic. And I had a little thing. Do you realize what the most, and I have to pull this up, what is the most single hypocritical word in America today? Any idea? When you say the Constitution and to the republic for which it stands, the word republic is the most hypocritical word because we say it every day in the Constitution. And when we turn around, it's the furthest thing from our government that we can get to. So we decided, and this gentleman said, whatever you want to do for the children, we'll fund it. And from an individual who, in my professional career, I've started several companies, particularly in the medical industry. And the first thing you have to do is always calculate what your reimbursement is going to be so you can develop the program. And then if the reimbursement's not, you got to short side your program for the money. And when they come in and said, we don't care what the cost is, you get the best program you possibly can find to take care of these children, and you put together the professionals that can do it correctly, and we will fund it. So taking that lead from the finance side, going to the people like Cathy and MJ and Greg, and I said, okay, guys, doors open, design it. Tell me what you want. Let's build it. And so from that point on, for the last 3 weeks, it's been absolutely crazy with the meetings and the numbers and what we're doing. And the way that we were looking at this, one of the contractors that we were depending upon that possibly could help us with our structures. And when I found out that they were located in Asheville, North Carolina, it just seemed like another click to me, like here is a spiritual thing happening right in front of us, and it's pulling all of the people in that can help and we can help, such as the company in Asheville. We get enough going and we start doing this in other counties, we're going to need their help. And so we are really excited now to announce that Sarasota County is going to be putting together a child recovery program. And I'll let Cathy and MJ get into explaining the details. I'm just a guy in the background, but it's great. But what we're doing, we're going to be setting up in our assembly, we're going to be setting up a team. We're going to be setting up a lot of teams. And each one of our teams are going to be taking a different aspect of county government. We're going to be looking at what they have for now is budgets. And then these teams are going to learn what each department is doing. And then we're going to go back and look at our constitutions and compare what they're doing to what the Constitution says. And we already know we've got a lot of disconnects in that in the county. And so that's where we're going. But the assembly under We the People, under a general assembly, this team will monitor the activities of our children's ranch. They will monitor the activities of our hospital, our schools. Every segment of government will be under the watchdog care of a team on our assembly here in Sarasota. So with that, I'm going to kind of let you have it back.
Okay. Well, before we get to Cathy, who we know has a lot of input on this, I want to introduce you guys to Greg and MJ, who I first met at Louis Herm's Unity Tour up in Tampa. And a lot of people tend to focus, and this is the way that we've been brainwashed, and this is the way that we've learned things all along. A lot of people tend to focus on the people sitting here right in your face and forget how important the people doing the legwork behind the scenes happen to be. And these two people just don't stop. They do a lot of work. They've done a lot of work for the kids. No, you two don't. Give our wives enough credit.
Support network, Mark.
He pays the bills.
But it's very, very important that we recognize how important, and this is what this platform's been about, and the people that we've associated has been about. It's about unity. It's about people working together to get the job done. That's why I keep saying and referring to the same thing over and over again when people say it's going to be biblical. I don't think they're talking about the Bible. I think they're talking about for the first time, the unification of mankind. And this is how things work. People working together for a common cause, for the common good. And that's where Mary Jane and Greg come in. So why don't you tell us about how this whole idea came about and where we're going with it?
Well, I guess like a lot of people, 2020 woke us up with a shock when it came to child sex trafficking. It just was, it made everything else just dealable. And that sent me pretty down a dark hole for quite a few months. And like a lot of people just trying to prove that it couldn't be true. And then going through the stage of knowing it was true and slowly crawling out and saying, what can I do about it? And fortunately, right then, it was my 60th birthday. And my friend said, what do you want to do? And I said, General Flynn's going to be at a empty parking lot in Bradenton. Let's go there. And it was really inspirational. That was 2021. And that's where I started meeting people. And from that point, I just realized that local action and focused on meeting as many people as I could in my county and then convincing them to get in the fight against child sex trafficking. And that was pretty much the start.
Well, I watched Mary at that point, and certainly before that, but she would join many different organizations here in the Sarasota area with the intention of introducing them all to the importance of fighting child trafficking and the awareness of how severe the problem actually was. And I, as a spectator of sorts, would see the results she was having. And sometimes it took quite a bit of an effort for her to sound the alarm loud enough so people would pay a little bit of attention to it. What I witnessed happening on Mary's, with her hard work and on her behalf, was this coming together of different groups that hadn't taken place until that point. So I knew that she was making an impact more than on a regional level, really on a national level, of bringing voices together that were previously unheard. So and we've always been, as eager to do all we can on this, for this purpose and on this regard. I can't believe we're sitting here tonight, in a sense, with a green light, as Tom mentioned, and as you alluded to as well, Mark. Good news on so many fronts, where you wait for years and years and years and years, and you hope and you wonder and you pray, is this going to happen? When's this going to happen? And I can taste it, which is, on behalf of, Cathy, who supports us and is such an inspiration to us in so many ways. Tom, whose leadership is undeniable, and the story he just told us all about how he's that man on the front line. This is all making sense in a way of almost magical, and as you say, biblical, and Tom just said, with the Asheville link, it's too perfect to not have a, organizer, thank goodness, above.
Divine flow.
Well, that's the whole thing. There's been so many references back to how many coincidences before it's mathematically impossible for it to be a coincidence. And that's when the divine hand is in it. There's just zero doubt about that.
Indeed.
Especially when it comes to doing things like this. Because it's all about the children. It's always been about the children. And what you guys are doing and the manner in which you're doing it couldn't be coming at a more perfect time, number one. And number two is just so painfully important. And that's the next step in this journey, is taking the action. Now,
Mark,
yes.
Can I say one thing about this?
No.
It is so spiritual, and in the world of intention. If your listeners don't understand what the word of intention means, I'll give you an example. We were sitting at a meeting yesterday morning. MJ and myself and Barbara were looking at the initial layout of the number of buildings that we're going to need and the space that we're going to need. And we had already selected a property of 50 acres. And when we went through their numbers, they came up and said, well, we need 44 acres for what we have now. And then immediately they said, no room for expansion, no room to help other kids. That property is not what we need. So I said, ladies, I want to do an experiment. The three of us do intention. We plant the intention that we want to find the proper location for this facility within the next 24 hours. That was at noon. At 2:00, these two girls are calling me, and they're, you got to say this, you got to say this, you got to say. We found the actual perfect property for this program in Sarasota within 2 hours after putting it out on intention. So you can say anything that you want to, just don't say that we're not on a spiritual trip, because this is where we are. I'm through.
And even the circumstances that brought us to Sarasota, which I won't get into, they're, somewhat personal in some level, but there was a whole movement that put us in this house at this time, which was, again, power of intention. It's so clear when you look back on it. We're supposed to be here, friends of Cathy, friends of Tom, friends of Mark. It's so clear that it's overwhelming at times.
Yeah, it is.
It does get to a certain extent to be very, very spooky. It's this is exactly what it is. This is spiritualism. This is ascension at its best.
I agree.
Yes.
Now, Cathy, you have a whole unique perspective and skill set that you bring to this, because of all of us, you've been through this. You've been one of the one of the abused. And because of this, you have a unique perspective in the manner in which you look at the rehabilitation, the care of these kids, how things need to be run and set up. So let's get a little bit of light on that and exactly how you see things going, what your input has been on this project, how you feel the direction of the kids and the progress of the kids would be in these situations.
Well, I've been speaking out for over 35 years on mind control and healing from it. And mind control is a result of trauma. It's the way our brains respond to trauma, and it creates a heightened suggestibility, and it makes people more easily led. So these children who have been trafficked, anyone who has been through ritual abuse or traumatized in any way, is more highly suggestible and easily led. And this is time for a great awakening, because this kind of mind control, this trauma-based mind control, is a sliding scale from the kind of robotic MK Ultra mind control I experienced on a White House Pentagon level to information control. We all formulate our thoughts, opinions, and actions based on what we know. And we need to know that our knowledge base has been altered a long, long time. People are seeing it now with the indoctrination of children in the school system, the sexualization of children that's being pushed, the pedophile agenda that's a mind control agenda trying to be normalized. It's not okay. And that censorship of pertinent information on our own mind brain functions so that other people can take control, those days are over. The Great Awakening is real. It's happening on a global scale.
Yes.
People are waking up. They're reclaiming their free thought. And I know from my experience in mind control that without free thought, there's no free will. With no free will, there's no soul expression. Without soul expression, there's no moral compass. There's no ability to gather wisdom and to think things through in a moral and purposeful way. There's no ability to gather the strength of the human spirit and that infinite power of love. So ultimately, what we're seeing with this human trafficking, this child sex trafficking, the sexualization of our children is a spiritual battle. And it's one that has been going on my whole life. I was used in child sex trafficking. I was used in blackmail operations, the pedophile blackmail ops, the videotapes that we hear about with the Epstein Island and the Diddy tapes and everything else. That's been going on my whole life. What we're seeing today isn't new. What's new is that we're finally seeing it. And because we're seeing it, we're able to start making a positive difference. Awareness is the first step towards positive, necessary change. So many people were awake and aware that we overrode the rigged electronic algorithm in the voting machine, voted in a president who is not cooperating with this New World Order slave society agenda, with the sexualization of children, with the drug and human trafficking across open borders, who's taken a strong stand against it, showing people that it's happening. And when we elected President Trump on November 5th, 2024, that removed obstacles out of our way. It empowered we the people to take back our own personal power, to look within, remember who we are and why we're here, and realize that we don't have to wait on big government, big pharma, big tech, big cult-to-cult religion to tell us how to live our lives, or worse, to wait on them to deal with this child sex trafficking problem. They've had their chance. They're just corrupted, and they perpetuated it, and they've made billions and billions of dollars off it so that it's one of the most lucrative businesses in the world. Now is our time. Now is our time for we the people to step up and start making that positive difference. And I'm especially excited about this because of the the synchronicity, when you align with the divine, when you have your free thought and you have that strength of spirit, we all naturally unite and there's a synchronistic flow and we're all in it and it's unfolding in the most beautiful way because the children need us now. They cannot wait for this system to clean up. It's up to us. It's up to each and every one of us to do something about it. For people who are still afraid to even face the reality that this is going on, there's so much hope for these children. All they need is a safe place to be, because every one of us, and I know this from my life's experience for sure, we have all been blessed with the most resilient body, mind, and spirit. We have a capacity for healing within, and there is nothing that this life can put in our path that we can't overcome in light of purpose and love. So this is our time. It's our time to shine. It's our time to unite and start making a positive difference for the children's sake. And wow, look at how the people are coming together. Tom, with his genius mind on the legal law aspect and the facilitator that he is. Mary and Greg, oh my gosh, just the most amazing people, always in flow, always in harmony, always knowing how to bring people together. You giving us voice and teaching people to have respect and start daring to care for each other again. And again, that begins with free thought, free will, soul expression, because when we're connected there, we have compassion. We have infinite strength. We have an ability to make the positive, necessary difference. And wow, what a team is coming together to do it. And I can't have the way that I healed, everyone can use, because we're blessed with it all along. We have that capacity. People need to know healing is possible. The children can be helped, and it begins with a safe place.
Yes.
Amen.
Before because I want to come back to that whole topic again and have you expound a little bit more on exactly some of the modalities that you're talking about, et cetera, et cetera. But let's play the video and let the people have somewhat of an idea as to what it is that has been envisioned here and is hopefully very, very shortly coming to fruition.
At Children's Harmony Ranch, our mission is to create a welcoming environment where every child feels a sense of safety, love, and belonging. Our vision is for each child to be in harmony with themselves, others, and their environment, living the love that they are. Many of these young lives have been overwhelmingly impacted by severe trauma, sexual exploitation, physical assault, and parental abandonment. Children's Harmony Ranch's campus setting will provide many comprehensive services. These services include education, medical care, healing modalities, life coaching, therapeutic programs, specialized support for autism, emergency support services, and adoptive parent education programs. We operate always focused on the children's safety as being paramount. Children's Harmony Ranch gives opportunities for children to develop and explore their own path within that safe environment, offering individual counseling, supportive group sessions, and spiritual guidance. We will provide comprehensive, holistic treatment, a continuum of care and resources for these children. Our 24/7 residential community will use a house parent model for direct care. This provides a consistency of care and promotes healing through trusted relationships. Our trauma-informed care team provide emotional and physical safety in a therapeutic living environment, empowering holistic healing. Our educational model promotes critical thinking and provides opportunities for children to discover their gifts and talents as they learn to take on the challenges and the rewards of healing themselves. We encourage our community of supporters and mentors to play a crucial role in sharing our Socratic educational methods. We facilitate an environment of apprenticeship, inspiring our children to embrace independence and self-reliance. We are grateful for our partnering organizations for their loving support, which helps increase awareness of this horrific epidemic of child sex trafficking and abuse.
I don't think it could have been said much better. You know, there isn't really anything that anybody could say that hasn't already been said. We've seen the horrors, but it's time for the fixes. And while I'm sure there are probably others across the country or around the world who are taking a stab at doing something for the kids, this seems to be kind of the first public reveal of it that's not governmentally involved, et cetera, et cetera. So, as I had asked you before, Cathy, what are some of the modalities and the means by which you could bring these abused children, trafficked, abused, slaved, et cetera, back to a sense of normalcy when probably for their entire lives they haven't known anything but the abuse that they had?
Well, understanding our mind-brain function and that whenever trauma occurs, it shuts down neuron pathways in the brain. As more and more trauma happens, more neuron pathways shut down until there's no free thought, there's no critical analysis, there's no capacity to hope, there's no capacity to think beyond what's being done to the person. This creates a hyper suggestibility that is really a basis for mind control. And there's no trauma more horrific on the children's mind than sexual abuse of a child prior to age 5 while their brain is still forming. So this is shutting down all those neuron pathways in the brain. It's the way our brains are designed, and it's professionally defined as the mind's sane defense to trauma too horrible to comprehend. What we need is to open those neuron pathways. We need to stimulate that, because once those neuron pathways open, the child, anyone who's been horrifically traumatized, is able to think beyond their experience. They'll be able to think beyond being, held down in that one negative, dark space that they're in. And to stimulate those open, there's so many different aspects that were pointed out in the Children's Harmony Ranch, because the being active like they are and being out in nature, being safe for the first time, automatically starts opening neuron pathways in the brain, because safety is absolutely essential. The brain knows when it's safe and when it's not. And that's an important thing to understand, so that once the children are safe, that will allow for them to start stimulating those neuron pathways. The best way to do it is to pick up a pen and paper. That's a brain hack we all can use. Pick up a pen and paper, write out trauma, write out fear, write out grief, anything that's immobilizing. Write it out, put it on paper, and then add a solution. For children who are too young to be able to write that out and put it into words that way, they can pick up a crayon, because the very act of moving a pen or a crayon activates the logic, critical analysis part of the brain. So it takes emotionally incomprehensible trauma that's repressed, opens neuron pathways, shifts it over to the logic, critical analysis part of the brain. It's written out on paper or drawn out on paper in front. And all of a sudden, you've got healing happening on all levels at once. You have them psychiatrically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. It all opens back up with that simple little trick. So that's one thing that can be done. Getting out in nature is crucial to be able to feel the earth beneath their feet, and feel the wind, feel the sunshine, be able to actually experience that in a safe environment. Hear the birds. These are things that are all lost to trauma, because the trauma is just, so overwhelming that something as simple as and beautiful as nature is taken away. We need to reestablish that. And that happens. Animals Oh, they're the greatest thing for helping children remember that unconditional love, the kind of connection that an animal has with people. It's telepathic. It's beyond words. It's deeper. Like animals have really strong senses. Like a dog knows who's good, who's bad. So do children. And it will reassure them that they can use those senses and open them up to even realize that goodness exists. When they see animals trusting, they can trust. When they see that will open up their hearts and help and so much on that level. There's just having the understanding of people around who know that healing can happen in just that bright environment. It doesn't take therapeutic intervention from the outside and work and everything else. It takes safety, and it takes the ability to start expanding above and beyond the negativity and the impact that has been. Being safe feels so good. It's healing in itself. And then being around animals, wow. We have such a wonderful opportunity in front of us, and the healing aspect is simple because it's natural, because it's within us. We've been blessed with it all along. When we look outside ourselves to big pharma for drugs, all it does is just compound the felony of what's already been done to the brain. We need the holistic approach. We need good nutrition. Good nutrition, our brains get starved when we have food that's just junk, and that's why our food is so tainted. It starves our brain and raises our suggestibility. So we need to get nutrition back in the food, getting out and getting hands in the soil, growing that nutritious food, and knowing that that soil can be renourished first so that there's nutrition in the food, and then feed the brain. So there's so many different aspects that come into play. We need plenty of sleep and rest, just to be able to sleep as long as you can without being disrupted by an alarm clock to go do this or go do that, to have someone shaking you up to traumatize you. And you're suddenly safe and you can sleep as long as you want. Wake up, go back to sleep. Sleep as much as you possibly can, because when the healing process begins and the neuron pathways start opening up, that's a very tiring process, in that it's all so new. It's so much to discover that it requires a lot of rest to be able to be fresh and embrace every moment of it. And going forward, from my life's experience and healing, every day is better and better and better. The more we exercise our brains, the more we learn, the more that we understand that we can be safe and heal. It's just the most beautiful thing, and it becomes a celebration of life. Finally, once we heal, deal with the past, start to move forward, it gives us the ability to go within, remember who we are and why we're here, align with the divine. When we do that, we find that who we were born to be is still within us all. No matter what happens to us in a childhood, they can't take that God-given, beautiful spirit away. That's the essence of our being. We all need to go in and rediscover that. We all need to align with the divine. Children, when they're first born and come into this world, they're already there. You can see it. You can see it in their eyes. It's like they're still attached. They know the universal secrets. They've got the ability to align with the divine, and then life gets in the way. And then more and more, and we all get further and further from it. Well, it's still there. We just need to get all that nonsense that happens in life out of our way and go back to our purpose, to why we're here. We all need that. And the children can do that. So it's not their childhood is robbed from them. That purity, that innocence, that beauty, that strength is still right there within them. And so we can help them realign with that aspect just by living the love we are. They'll remember to live the love they are.
Very well said.
that's why Cathy O'Brien is the foundation of this healing for the children at this ranch. And we are so blessed to have her mentorship for all of us.
I was going to interject the same thing, saying the reason Tom's a big reason why we're going to have success with his understanding of common law, the legal process, and where we're heading as a nation. But Cathy, as she was speaking, I hope everyone watching this is aware that we're guaranteed success with the experience, the intuition, the expertise, and the true devotional, heartfelt empathy she has for all. So we're guaranteed success with someone like Cathy on our side.
You're guiding us all, Cathy.
I don't know about you guys, but I got goosebumps.
I got a barking dog that I'm worried about going. Cathy's talking about animals and healing. I'm thinking about one we don't. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's nothing to apologize for. It's so, as I said before, this is the epitome, this is the essence of it all, because it's the coming together of a diverse group of people trying to help these kids. You go back to the old, and I hate to use that line only because it always gets related back to Hillary, but it takes a village. Many times I've had to say it takes a village to raise an idiot because we have them in Washington. But in this case, it takes a village to take care of the family of man. And that's what this is about. Now, you guys all came together. I know that some of you have been acquainted with one another for quite a while and this and that and the other, but how did the whole premise of this children's ranch come about so that you could start to work together and take the individuals, Tom with his legal experience with common law, and obviously Cathy with her background, and MJ and Greg with the organizational skills that you guys have had through many charitable events. How did it all come to be that
the stars aligned to bring Mary and Cathy together, which I witnessed. Mary was very aware of who Cathy was. We were at an event we shared together, and yet the power of the universe put them together, and their like-mindedness, held them together in an affinity that I could witness. That was destiny, was meant to happen. I still feel it and see it, and it's acknowledged every day. And from that relationship, when Mary was involved with Tom, the whole thing was in place to merge, if you will, in a controlled way, a predestined way. And I, as a spectator, I came out and answered your question first, because it's very clear to me that this was absolutely orchestrated from above. And once Tom was brought into the mix, it just makes sense. And it's all magical, and it's, in a way, it really is.
Well, there's more to it than that, because I know,
Well, sure.
You guys are all involved as a big group. You're also involved with America's Future, which is a big link right there. And that's a good link to have in your pocket. It's a good link to have in your pocket. So, I mean, for instance, Tom, how did you go about organizing and finding the proper amount of land to use? And we all know what it's like anytime you want to build anything or put something together, getting permits together and getting governmental cooperation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How did you handle that flow? Where did that come from?
Well, I think we're going to find out probably in a couple of days that we are a Republican form of government, and we have been suppressed. And that what that means is government by we the people. And that means through an assembly, the people makes the decisions what happens in their county. And so what we are right now experiencing is the fall of the corporate structure that is in every county, city, and state in this country. They're all corporations and they're all going to fall. And we are being prepared to pick up the pieces when that falls. And I know through the services of Department of Florida Family Services and Child Protective Services, and all of these things that we've depended upon in our community to provide services to our most precious commodity have all been destroyed. I mean, these people, I have visited in Sarasota County Child Protective Services facilities, and I've experienced and interviewed grandmothers and parents who's had children in there, and the atrocities have to stop. I was enlightened with an algorithm from a social worker in Kentucky that showed me how you could take every child protective budget and you could run it through the algorithm and you could tell within 2 kids how many they're going to take next year, because it's all based upon per diem. And they call them per diem days, bed days, and they refer to children as their bed days. Well, no, it's time for this to stop. We were blessed, and I still think it's part of the divine intervention when these gentlemen stepped up and they said, we were going to support anything you want, put together the best program you can find. And that's what we're going to do. We don't have to worry about law enforcement or anything else right now, because there's 3 Supreme Court decisions that has very specifically stated that statutes, ordinances, codes, and rules are for government people only, and not we, the sovereign independent Americans. And so we have been suppressed under this military maritime law, and we are been considered to still be lost at sea. And so it's now time for us to come back to God's land, the law of the land, God's law, and common law. And it's very simple. You do no harm. If you hurt somebody, fix it. And if the very premise of common law is if there isn't a victim, there is no crime. And you can see how the corporate jail and court systems have profited billions off of sticking people in jails and charging us taxpayers to pay for that when they haven't committed a crime. It's all about the money. So we are not worried about those issues at this point in time of the game, because we know with everything that's else going, we also have at our disposal here in Sarasota our statewide common law grand jury. And if we have any problems with any of the officials, we can call on our grand jury and we can have it settled pretty quickly. So we are prepared. We've been working for 2 years and getting this prepared and ourselves educated in what we can do and what we can't do. And trust me, we have now loaded for bear. We're ready to go. And we're not going to let anything stop us, not anything at all. And we're going to be looking at other projects within our county. And we're actually advocating for people to get out and start your assemblies. Just as a real brief, you could go to restore-america.org and you can find your state and get involved. These things are important because we are going to first take back this county for our children. And then when we start looking at all of the other aspects, we got a real problem with water. So we're going to be working on water next in our assembly. So if we can't have a place to raise our kids safely, and if we can't drink safe water out of our tap, then we've got work to do here before anything else happens. So we're busy. We're going after it.
Okay, but that's an important aspect. You know, when Cathy was talking before about healthy foods, obviously, along with healthy foods and putting nutrients back into the soil, you need clean, potable water. these are issues that have been plaguing all of our counties and towns and forever, with allowing companies to dump whatever they want into the aquifers and get the water polluted and poisoned and the ground poisoned, et cetera, et cetera. What, I don't want to say precautions, but what kind of setup is being done to ensure that what you're doing there, and I assume that on the property is also going to be the ability for the kids to be able to grow their own food, the community to be able to grow its own food and feed the kids, et cetera, that what's going to be ingested and what's going to be used to grow is going to be of human grade.
Mark, we got a problem here, and the problem is the quality of the water that is coming to the people through this system, and it's not only here in Sarasota, but it is nationwide. Now, we could probably have another event on just the atrocities of the water, and we really need to do that because this segment it's all about the kids. But the fact that the water that our kids are drinking in Sarasota is extremely dangerous. And as much as some of the contaminants are over 60,000% above safe. And if you don't think that's a big deal, well, it is. And when you look at what it causes, and we've got all the data in the backup for this to go in. But we have to take control. And for our children's center, we are blessed in this particular part of county. We've got a huge amount of horse farms and horse ranches, and everything in this area are big. We've got a lot of homegrown natural products that are being grown in this area. So, and we've got a huge art center in Sarasota. So we can reach out. And I had a lady tonight said, "Oh, you mean I can come with my healing art studies for the children?" I said, "Absolutely." And we've got a community that is so rich, and there are so many retirees here that could bring so much to these type of facilities, just an hour a week, and so we are going to develop a team that's going to be looking for all of these aspects for people to come in, bring in your horses, bring in your animals until we can get the farms built up. And then at that point, we will be able to establish. But imagine teaching children how to plant food, how to harvest it, how to deal with raising the correct food to feed your livestock, and how to properly care for your livestock. All of these things are life skills that are going to be amazing aids to recovery. And we can't wait to get started.
And that particular property that Tom was referencing is 538 acres. Mary and I took a ride out yesterday to see the property ourselves, and it's surrounded by thousands and thousands of undeveloped acres. It's absolutely a pristine piece of property that will allow all of that to come to fruition pretty easily.
Now, in regard to that, because it's kind of staying on the same topic, but all of the organizational skills that you guys have exhibited when it comes to Skippity Doodah and other organizations that you've been involved in trying to raise awareness and raise money, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to require a lot of people. It's going to require a lot of manpower. How can people, not just necessarily from Sarasota County, get involved either with your project or nationwide to try and spread this? Because we're going to need it, not just one facility in each state. We're going to need multiple facilities for the amount of kids that we're going to have to be dealing with.
Since I started talking to people about this project, and it's pretty exciting, so a lot of people are, I want to get involved. And the first thing I'm telling them is, join the General Assembly. If you want to have a voice, you need to be part of the assembly. And not only as the overseers, but the people who are involved now in giving us their input and setting it up. So to me, it's all recruiting that we're going to build these girls' assemblies, not just in Sarasota, but Tom's putting forward a program to make it very easy for every county to repeat what he has put together and build a new girl assembly in their county. So that's the first step, I think, for everybody.
Okay, but human nature being what it is, which is the sad thing that we're always dealing with. Human nature being what it is, when people say, okay, I want to get involved in this, I want to help with this, and it either doesn't move quickly enough for them, or they don't find it enthralling enough, or they just find, oh, why did I bother to do this? We need to keep, and it goes beyond the idea of it's all about the kids. We need to keep people's spirits up and keep them in the premise of joining the group, of being unified, of helping each other. How do we go about that?
I'll take that right up front. The people that are going to be involved in this program, we are going to vet. Everybody that touches this program will be vetted to the highest degree that we can. And then our program will have its own built-in safety valves that will recognize, because we've got so many people that are experienced in dealing with this, we can recognize anything that comes in. So we want to welcome all the help from the people in the community that could come in, but the people in the community have to realize that we are providing a very secure and protected environment for these children. And it's going to have to come within our program director's purview. They're going to have to approve it. They're going to have to evaluate it. And we're not going to just leave it as an open door policy to come in and say, howdy do. It's not going to work that way. We can't have it. That's the type of environment that got us to where we are today. And so we're going to be looking at everything at least twice, and we're going to set up our protocols to be able to self-monitor this. And then the assembly team, MJ will be heading up that team in the assembly, and we will be monitoring the activities on a regular basis. So with the expertise that we have with Cathy, with the other people that are volunteering to come forth in program management and the medical and in the nutritional and and believe it or not, the recreational, and there's a big part of that recreational therapy that needs to come in. And of course, we've already talked about the healing power of horses and animals, so we know that's going to be there. But when they come in, and look, we are doing what we know how to do right now. And because we're not saying that if you have an idea, we don't want it. No, I'm not saying that. If you've got some kind of an inspiration, an idea, we'll consider anything that you send to us. Just be aware that we're going to be very limited because of the nature of what we're dealing with, that we cannot just go in and do anything that seems to be interesting without any type of investigation. Not going to do it. We're going to protect these kids with everything we got. And it's going to be a different environment for them. And as Cathy explained, feeling safe is the first step of starting to heal. And if we allow these other programs just to come in unannounced, our property will be secure. It will be secured fence-wise. It would be secured anything we can, and we will have security on site. That's how secure it's going to be. We're not going to leave this. And these facilities are going to be all new facilities. They're not going to be in the dumps that we see our children in foster care being held into now with inadequate plumbing and the psychological torment that's creating for these children. It's not acceptable. So we've got the very best professionals we think we can put into this program right now, because they all came to us with one way. And we were all led together by Father God to this Spirit. And we're here working together to protect his gold. We are all responsible for protecting God's gold. and that is our children.
Now,
These children deserve the very best. They, and instead of, like you said, instead of getting seconds somewhere along the line, or the leftovers, or being they're going to get the best of everything, and the best of what we have to give in our hearts. And with Cathy's training as the foundation, I know everyone who works with them will develop that confidence that every one of these children can heal. It's within us all to heal. And that's what we're going to accomplish.
and that's the next question that I had in regard to this. As a feel free, whoever wants to respond first. When you look at the project itself, and it's just an immense undertaking. It's got so many tentacles coming out of it and each one of them are extremely important. But what is, for lack of a better term, the end game? Because you're going to have children of all ages that have been rescued. You're going to have everything from infants through probably teens, and all kinds of psychological problems, all kinds of issues, and of course the end game that these are still minors who will need a family situation. So what's the direction that's going to be taken in regard to that, and in regard to adaptivity and adoptivity for these rescued children?
Be the special people that come to be part of this, and we'll be a long-term community. We'll be like a lot of big families, a lot of craziness going on, but we'll have a direction. We'll know that these children can heal, and we'll never give up on them, and they'll have a permanent home, and we'll have programs to help them get adopted, and we'll work with those parents. But maybe children will stay there through adulthood and move into helping us in the program. It's going to have such a variety of outcomes and skills offered, with many, many apprenticeships, from mechanics to engineering to farming to animal care.
And I'm sure it'll evolve as we get better at providing these services as well. I think that's to be expected, because we have a wonderful crew with experience that is off the charts, but I think we'll also evolve as we get better at.
But isn't that also going to change the scope of the project? Because if you have X amount of kids who decide that their security is there, and what they want to do is remain and give back to the community.
Good thing we have a lot of land. They can go get a little half an acre and go build a little place of their own with one of our Deltec homes right off on the property.
It's a beautiful thought what will happen with the community as these children do grow up, because it's people helping people, and it's people living life the way it was intended to be lived all along. And it's going to be such a beautiful opportunity that has been missing from our societies for so long. An ability for compassion and care for each other. One thing with survivors of horrible abuse is the first thing they want to do as soon as they start to heal, they want to help other children not be hurt. They want to make a difference. They want to get involved. They want to protect the children. It's human nature, so people want to get involved who've been hurt and then know safety. They want to make sure that what happened to them as a child never happens to anyone again. And they'll find their place. They'll find their way. They'll find their direction in it. And they'll be able to be effective in protecting children and making a positive difference in the world once they're fully healed within themselves. They must heal first. Everyone must. Everyone must be strong in who they are, because we have a big responsibility, a huge opportunity vast numbers of people in need, and an opportunity in front of us now where the whole political structure that has been perpetuating harm on these children, is going away. All that is falling away. This big government's dissolving now. And this is our time. This is time for we the people. This is our time to shine. There have been so many people ready for this, waiting for this. For me, I've been waiting for it my whole life. And I'm sure a lot of other people have too. And this is our chance. This is our time. So the enthusiasm, the opportunity, the numbers, it's all naturally self-perpetuating because it's our humanness inside. It's who we are. It's who we were meant to be. It's our life's purpose. What an amazing time to be alive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mark, when you ask me what I think the end game is, for me, it is taking a child that is broken and damaged and nurturing them back to where they, as an individual, can lead a productive and successful life. Now, unlike the CPS system that says it's kind of like the difference between civil law and common law. Civil law says everybody's perfect and you have to obey the law or we're going to zap you with a fine. Common law says everybody is human and we make mistakes. So we review each case and look at it to see if it is an intent or if it is something else. And when we look at these children that are going out into the world, we want them to heal. And then if we can put them in families, but we're going to be vetting families like they've never been vetted before. And we're not going to be doing foster care like, well, we got to get them out, so we just dump them to any place. Or in the adoption agency that's here in Sarasota that runs their adoption agency online where they put all of their children's picture up online. To me, it's a pedophile catalog. But we're not going to allow that kind of stuff because we have precious commodities. And so my end game would be to heal everyone that comes to us to a point where they can have a productive and happy life. That's it for me.
This is really funny because it's, we're going back to the divine connection again here because you just did the perfect segue into where I was going. Given the track record of foster care, CPS, et cetera, it's extremely important that the vetting process of adoptive parents in this, especially in a situation like this, where these kids have been critically abused. What processes can you really go through to ensure the best fit, the best care for these children, for their ongoing future, and that there's even the possibility of repetition with some of these parents that, we're so proud of this child that we adopted, et cetera, we want another.
Yes. For me, the first thing it will do is anybody that wants to come in and be foster care, we're not going to pay you. If you want to adopt a child and you want to come in and take this child, then we are going to vet you, but you're going to come in and you're going to demonstrate that you want to take this child and provide for it out of the love of your heart. We're not going to pay you to be a dump site for another kid. Just that simple.
There's so many foster parents out there right now that are taking in these trafficked children, and they're wanting to know how they can best help the child, what they can do. And there's a huge need for an education for them on how to help that child heal. And I'm really excited about moving into that aspect too, because there's just some simple things that they need to know and we'll be able to provide. So, they need to be educated, the ones who are, enthused. And there's a lot of people who want to know, what can I do? and I want to adopt one of these children, that I hear it all the time, but they need to know how, they need to know what to do. So vetting them is extremely important. And then educating them to be effective in raising the child the way they intend is another aspect to the whole process. People have a lot to learn about healing, that and the abilities that we have and the simplicity of it. So it's not a complicated issue. We just keep intrusive outside influence from that kind of so-called therapeutic intervention and of hypnotists and drugs and stuff like that. We don't need any of that. We need to allow for the beauty of what we've been blessed with all along to blossom, and being able to teach people that is quite easy because it's in them too. It's innate to us all. It's our nature.
And I can also see follow-up. A lot of times these children are turned over to foster care and they're basically forgotten or lost. Our system will have periodic follow-ups, probably as much as up to a year, just to keep touch with the parents to make sure that everything is going as according to what it was planned. And if there are problems, there's going to be opportunities for these people. If they have problems, they can come back in. Our people will work with the parents. If we have to, we'll have interventions if needed. But the whole idea is to get a set of parents, and I'm very leery of, and I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people when I say this, but single parents have been the biggest issue for child trafficking that we have to deal with. So some of these things we may have to deal with this on a case by case, but up front, we're going to say we're willing to work with parents because these children need a family. And I'm sorry, single parents just cannot offer the full thing that I think we need for our children right now, unless there's special circumstances. But we're gonna guard these kids for a long time.
See, now, as we have discussed prior, one of my humanitarian projects had to do with this, and it's kind of a neighborhood building thing, but part of it had to do with kids, et cetera, et cetera. And kind of it's always been said, especially our generations, it's always been said, kids didn't choose to be born. You wanted them.
Yeah.
And they don't come with instructions, but there are certain, I think going forward, certain rules and regulations that to a certain extent should be in place, especially to ensure the safety and well-being of the kids. And as part of that, is there going to be any kind of structure in the way of making sure that for the future, after these kids do get adopted, that there is no truancy, that there is no spousal abuse, home violence, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, things going on in the home that are huge factors that have led a lot of these kids
Absolutely.
being trafficked.
I think as a building community and as we, the people in the General Assembly and in the county of Sarasota, we have to keep a long-term commitment to these children. In no way is it, okay, that one's out the door. It's all about, we're here for you, for your life, like a parent is for their child. When they come into our community, they're part of our lives for the rest of our lives. And that's the love they deserve. That's the care and the protection they deserve. And we, the people in Sarasota, in our General Assembly, at our ranch, will make sure that those kids get that, all of them.
That's a key element because the kids have to feel that security. The kids have to feel that
They deserve it.
knowing that somebody's got their backs.
Yep.
Even when it comes to having been adopted, and look, kids will be kids, and they make all kinds of accusations and problems and this and that and the other, but somebody's got to have their backs.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be sure that the people who are not just looking after them at the ranch are doing what they're supposed to be doing, but beyond that, once they get into the family environment, that those things are being taken care of.
That
And
they're still part of our community. Now their new parents are part of our community too.
And we will unconditionally love each and every one of them. We may not love all of their actions, but that's part of the training process. And we train them to do with that. So that's part of raising a family.
Amen.
And that's key to, and that's a very apropos word. And I can't keep going back to it often enough tonight, because this is what it's about, is the family of man. And we have to start acting not like the Manson family, but like a bunch of responsible adults who are there to take care of the kids. And
Right.
as we move forward with this, I know your long range goals are to have this structured, I would assume, in multiple counties, in multiple states.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it'll be unique to each county and each state, what fits with them. Like we were saying, we have big horse ranches out in east part of Sarasota, which is which is fantastic for the program that we've all envisioned together. But we'll have a template that other people that can repeat and perhaps improve on, and we'll just keep helping each other from community to community.
And as technologies progress and healing modalities progress, and the alleged 17,000 hidden technologies are finally presented to us, what role could those healing modalities possibly play in aiding these children to come back to societal, if you call our society normal, to a societal norm?
We've heard for some time now that the trafficked children and victims of trafficking would be accessed or have accessibility to med beds. And a lot of people say, well, if they're going to be healed in a med bed, why are you doing this project? And they said, well, you got to know kids. And if you can fix a hurt, but you've got to understand that the environment that these children have been in, if they're trafficked or if they're even in foster care where they've been ripped out of their home, and in some cases by a child protective service worker and a sheriff, they've come in and they violated the child's constitutional rights and all of this stuff. But these things are going to work themselves out, but we have to be diligent with each county, and you develop the program that meets your people. Because we have some in Sarasota County, we've got the barrier islands, and we've got the nouveau rich that are living out on the islands and so forth. And we got the people that are living in some of the original parts of Florida that are not as wealthy. And we've got a lot of folks that are living in substandard homes, and some are living in okay places. But when this community starts coming together and understanding that it's all about God and how we treat each other, and I have to be careful when I say the word God, because in our assembly, I have to be respectful for all religions, because we don't look at red cups or blue cups. We don't look at Dems or Republicans. We don't look at anything else, but we ask people, look to your creator. And that's who we're asking you to do, is get settled with your creator. And I'm not telling you it has to be Christian. And had a couple of ladies of the Jewish faith have been pretty hard on me on that, but I've learned my lesson. So, but it's not any specific special thing that people have to do other than just open your heart and love and get rid of all of this. We have been conditioned as debt slaves. We have been conditioned to harbor ill feelings against our neighbors because they've got a better looking car than we do, or they got a 5-bedroom house and we got a 2-bedroom house, and all of this stuff is stupid. It's no place for it in where we're going in this new world. And so we start with training our kids, because these kids have not developed normally. I mean, when you take in the position where they've been through and everything they've been through, so when they get to the age and to us, we're not going to kick them out when they're 18, like Child Protective Services does, because how many kids go through all of this and they are delayed in their development, in their maturity? And when you get to an 18-year-old child that's been trafficked or in foster care, may not be quite ready to go out on their own. And a couple of programs that we really like that are doing this, they're allowing these older teens to live on staff and to get a job and to establish themselves. And once they have established themselves and can move out into their own apartment and they can demonstrate this to me is the end goal of what our program is. And that's putting children back into a productive adult.
And that's a big key. That's a very big key, because the division, and we've discussed this ad nauseum already, the division that's been put out there by the government, by the media, and everything else to keep us separated from one another and throw all kinds of logjams in the way of us getting anything accomplished, and especially in the way of us working together, has always been a problem. So people have to start accepting the fact that we are all one. You know, you're not going to run a DNA test on anybody and find out what religion they are. You know, all you're going to do is find out where they came from. So facts being what they are, people have to do away with those adjectives and get with the program. Start working with each other. Start helping. Doing what you can to volunteer. Doing what you can to get out there and help make the situation a better situation.
Yes.
Instead
Like
of
Mary Flynn always tells us, mission before ego. And
Yes.
it's a lesson we all have to pull back at times and say, let's not let that ego get in the way of our mission.
well, it goes back to that other old phrase, there's no I in team. And we have to be a team. We have to work together.
I think when we align with the divine within ourselves, we tap into that natural spiritual unity, and we have the compassion and care for each other in a different way. And it naturally unites people. It overcomes those imposed differences that are meant to divide people. We unite there because that's the way it's intended to be. So we've got a wonderful opportunity in front of us. And I think it's important too that we make sure that we don't sit in front of a computer screen or a cell phone and scroll information. That's so much information scrolling on by. It's like drinking from a fire hose, and it's not being digested. It's not being processed correctly. So, it's so important for us to get away from those devices and those things that are being used to divide us, to keep us shallow, to tell us differences are wrong, when in fact differences are a chance to learn from each other. We've got so much opportunity, so we create an environment where not only where we can align with the divine and find that love and live the love that we are and care about each other, but also nurture that by getting out in nature and communing with the animals and growing food and being nutritious. This is something that all of humanity is getting back to right now. We are evolving back to, the ways that are natural and of nature. And I think it's something that's happening on a global scale. It's such a phenomenal time to see the spiritual evolution happening, to see people waking up and taking back their own lives, to take back their power, to remember who they are and why they're here. So I think this is all part of a much bigger a much bigger thing that's unfolding, something bigger than all of us that we're all just a part of, that I think every bit of this is going to flow into when we nurture that. And as we do, we can get rid of these imposed ideas and go back to the beauty of a family unit, the beauty of human procreation in light of love, back to what that used to be instead of this imposed shallow nonsense. We've got an opportunity in front of us, and it's the times we're living in, and I think that we're just right on the forefront of it and ready to go. And what a powerful team we've got right here, right now, to make it happen. It's not just an idea. It's not just a vision. It is a goal, a reality, a plan, and it can happen, and it will happen because it's meant to.
I don't want to bring out. Go ahead, Tom. You look like you want to say something. Tom? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I thought you looked like you were going to say something.
No.
Mark, I'm just sitting here and thinking about when you asked for the end, what is the end deal? And then I see this word behind you on the screen. I think it's important that we teach each child to respect themselves first,
Yes.
and then how to respect everything else that comes after that. But they have to get back to the point where we can rehab them enough where they can respect themselves. And that means they can understand that they are okay and that they're going to be okay, and they can move forward and do something in this world and be something in this world. But they can't do that without having respect for themselves. And that's a big part of this program. And thank you for reminding me of that.
Well, I want to remind people of something else because it occurred to me while all of you were speaking. Now, we've been on for just about an hour and a half already. And a lot of programs put this stuff out. And, I've said it before, and I'll continue to repeat it when it's applicable. Maybe I'm a little bit jaded from the way the mainstream media always conducted themselves. Well, we've been on for almost an hour and a half talking about a particular topic. And a particular topic that involves a great deal of effort, great deal of thought, great deal of consideration, great deal of money. Not once have we even brought up a hint of an idea of people contributing money to this effort. We've all heard about doing our humanitarian plans when everything comes to fruition. And that's what this is about. This is one of the humanitarian plans. And it doesn't, and I'm not making any kind of an appeal here for so much as a dime from anybody. What I am making the appeal for is when you see that you've heard the stories from Cathy and from others as to what's gone on. You see a direction now for the future of fixing and helping these kids moving forward in the future. Here is a time, if you have nothing else, to give of yourselves and volunteer and look for either to help this group or another group. Put forward your effort, even if it's sitting making phone calls for an aid group. Yeah. This is how we help the structure move forward. This is how we help our world become a better world, instead of sitting around as we've been trained to do, waiting and expecting somebody else to do it. Like I said, no appeal has been made here tonight except toward respect and human decency. Let's try and do that. And in that vein, how can people help with this?
from my experience, it doesn't matter how small you think this effort is you're putting in or how big it is, but you can get a few people in your neighborhood to start to come over for coffee and talk about what you're going to do. My girlfriend and I came up with an idea 4 years ago. We called it Lots of Truth. And we went to empty lots in Sarasota and asked them, if we clean up your lot, will you let us put up signs? I had no idea how hard it was to clean an empty lot. But some of those were like crazy small ideas. I know we started doing smaller seminars where we had 25 people and we just talked about child trafficking. A lot of those people 4 years ago are now people that are going to be involved in this project. So they're out there. They're right in our neighborhoods. And if we just put out a little effort to connect, we start building it. And there's so many different projects you can jump into or create yourself.
When you ask for the next step, I'm reminded of my father. I was an only child, and my father was very loving, but he was also very strict. And I still remember that leather belt that he had very well, much too often. But anyhow, I was a hardhead growing up, but I always remember one thing that he said, and it was always off and on. And every time he would say off and on, I knew what that meant. And that's what we need people here to do today. Get off your ass and get up and go work. So it's off and on. So it's off your ass and on your feet. Let's get moving.
But I think a lot of it can be pointed right back at you, Mark. You've been consistent in getting this message out. And I've witnessed that. Mary and Cathy and Tom have seen it as well. And the people who watch this, take this in. We're not aware of the 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 who are moved enough by this to take the next step. So I will applaud your effort for keeping everybody apprised of such an important topic. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Very much.
Thank you. Look, it's very, very near and dear to my heart. I always call what I'm doing here my penance for 46 years in the mainstream media. And I know I got a lot of crap the last time I brought this up for bringing it up, but I really don't care because I'm old and stubborn and I'm from Brooklyn. But when I was on Charlie Ward's show a couple of weeks ago, talking about a lot of these things and the mainstream media. And when I said that this is my penance for 46 years, he stopped me right in my tracks there and said, no, this isn't penance. God put you here for this reason.
Yes.
And he put us all here at this time for these reasons. There's a reason that we're all awake now. There's a reason that we're all aware now. And there's a reason that we're all doing what we're doing now.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're all here trying to implore others to get up, get off and on.
I don't think it'll be too much time before the same people that would come at you for bringing up a subject such as this will be applauding the foresight that you had, because at some point in the near future here, it's going to become much more obvious that we're dealing with a project that needs to be dealt with the way we're dealing with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dealing with the subject, rather. Yeah.
Well, look, guys, there's been an absolutely grand discussion and reveal. Where are we? Any further idea where we're moving forward? Timeline with this?
Well, that's probably going to rest on my shoulders because we've got to negotiate this land price, and if this one doesn't work, then we've got to go back to intention and find another one. But I've got some pretty good faith in intention coming through there. But I've got to get with the principals, and we've got to set up a time schedule. And so it's coming. We just have to get it organized and get it planned out. We've got a lot of meetings to do. I need to meet with one of the contractors up in Nashville, and then we need to find our contractors here. And one of the nice things about the company that we're looking at for homes, for housing, Deltec up in Asheville, North Carolina, basically because their homes can withstand a Cat 5 storm, and we're right here in the middle of Hurricane Alley. So we want to, first of all, give those places as much protection as we can and protect our precious cargo inside. So we've got a lot of work, as you know, that this is going to be a mammoth project, and we're going to have to start pulling in other people to help. But we have to vet everybody that's coming into this program, and we got to read their heart, because if they're not willing to give everything they have to this program to get it started, then we need to find those people that are willing to make that type of a commitment. Not to say that we don't want other people in, but I only want the true hearted, the truly committed, the truly understanding the atrocities that we are, and the people that truly want to help children. And those are the ones we want to get involved. And I come and help. Once we get this program up, we'll come and help you. But I hope you understand that we can help other people set up assemblies and these types of programs, but our full attention is on this project, and we're dedicating everything we can to see that it's successful right now. Once it's up and running, we can then start reaching out to other communities. But I'm telling you, get yourself in an assembly, get your people organized, and we'll come help.
Excellent. MJ, Greg, what you got?
I'm so grateful for Cathy's teachings, and that has given me the strength to know that we can save these children, that everyone is able to heal, and to create that environment. God's with us. It's happening, and it's so exciting. I'm pinching myself every day saying it's really happening. Great time to be alive.
And getting back to what Cathy said a bit earlier, the things that are happening nationally and globally right now as we speak for the patriotic minded are off the charts in a sense. You know, we can feel it coming. We know it's coming. It's on our doorstep. We've waited and waited and waited and worked and worked and worked to be sitting here at this time with this opportunity in tandem with what's going on. It's overwhelmingly awesome in a sense of, you know, so I thank you again for having us here and exposing this to the next level. And we thank you.
My honor. Cathy.
I encourage everyone, dare to care. It's within us all to heal. It's within us all to heal ourselves, heal the children, heal our communities, heal the world. This is our time. This is our time to shine. It begins with all of us. It begins within when we start living the love we are and dare to care and have compassion and reach out to each other. We've got a wonderful opportunity in front of us now to make the positive change and be that change that needs to happen in the world for the children's sake.
Very well put. Very well put. And I guess, for lack of a better reference point, guys, this is the best place if people wanted to get in touch with all of you in regard to the project, that they could do it.
Yes, that's Sarasota County Child Protection Collaboration. And
Spell that out.
But well, all you need is SCCPC. So
At
yes,
proton.me.
it's that.
Very good. So anybody who wants to try and get further information on this, SCCPC at proton.me. Okay, not the regular protonmail.com, but proton.me. Very important. I think you should all try and do whatever you can. If you're not in the area, try and set something up locally.
Yes.
A little bit of local action. Okay, a little bit of local action. That's how we get things going. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. You've all been wonderful. And this is very, very important information that we got out there.
Great.
I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I want to thank, of course, Claudia, Kat, Doug, and Kerry, and Dave for all of this. And now I'll pull up the shameless media whore that I am. Now that I have the sites all up, if you go on Telegram to Fake News 7 and subscribe, Remember, these subscriptions cost you nothing. I'm not here for the money. I'm just here for the looks. So just go on and hit the thumbs up or the subscribe button. I've never done it myself, so I couldn't really tell you what to do. But the same thing on X and on Truth Social and on Rumble. It's Fake News 7 NY. So go there, subscribe. We'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on. I'm sharing with a lot of other truthers out there because unity is what this is all about. We're all here to help each other and move forward to the next level. So,
Mark,
guys,
We wish you continued success, Mark. You're doing a great job.
thank you.
and the only thing I can say is for Sarasota, wait till you see what we got coming next.
Amen.
Drink the water, baby.
Getting
Yeah,
warmed up.
exactly. Right.
And once again, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Have a great week. We'll see you next week again on
Thank you.
Respect.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Mark. Appreciate it. Blessings to you.
Thank you.